Hello, my name is Carl, and today I will be talking about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It was released April 28th, 2017, developed and published by Nintendo for the Nintendo Switch, and is a kart racer featuring tracks and racers from all across the Mario universe, with a few special guests. It was a re release of the original Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U, and this game is kind of a definitive edition of that game. It has a manufacturer's standard retail price of $59.99, and it is rated E for everyone due to Comic Mischief. Uh, this game, as I said before, is Mario Kart 8, but given a fresh coat of paint. It's given a new battle mode, updated graphics, added characters, a couple new items, the ability to hold two items at once, and all the DLC from the original, all packaged into one Switch game card. Interestingly enough, this was Nintendo's first game in a long line of games released as an apology for the Wii U. And what I mean by that is, if you are unaware, Nintendo's Wii U, the console before the Switch, sold very poorly. And due to that, while Nintendo still made some good games during that era, they were released on a very unpopular console. So a lot of people missed out, not because the games weren't good, but because the console was unpopular. So, Nintendo, starting with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, has released a lot of games where they take the original Wii U version, port it over, maybe update the graphics a bit, um, add some new modes, put all the DLC in, what have you, and re-release it as a definitive edition or a deluxe edition, whatever. As far as the setup for this game is, there's no reason given as to why everybody is racing karts. They just are. But the added gimmick in this game this time around is zero gravity. As you can see, there are kart racers racing on the ceiling. In terms of my love for the franchise, I've really only played 7 DS, Double Dash, and Wii, with the emphasis of Double Dash. That was fun to play with my brother. Um, you know, I like the franchise obviously enough to buy it for a second time on a different console, but I'm not someone that counts down the days to the next Mario Kart game. I'm not a fan of racing games in general. Um, so with that, let's get into the meat of the review. In terms of gameplay, there's 4 main modes you can do. There's the Grand Prix, time trials, versus race, and battle mode. Now, the first 3 of those are very similar. Whether you're racing through 4 different cups in a Grand Prix, you're going solo to get the best time in a time trial, you're setting custom rules up in a versus race. All 3 of those modes involve you going around the track. Usually 3 times. And so the question becomes, how is going around the track? How is it control? Perhaps unsurprisingly, after 7 different releases of experimenting with controls of how to drive a kart, Nintendo has perfected the driving mechanics. Everything in this game is super smooth, super easy to control, very responsive. Whether you're drifting around a corner or you're going down a straightaway, if your character is doing something that you don't want them to, chances are it's because it's your fault. It's because you're blame on the user end, which is good. You want your racing games to feel good and control intuitively. Of course, in these modes, there are the infamous items. You get shells to throw at your enemies and make them spin out. You can drop a banana to try to trip your opponents up. You can use a mushroom to speed up. Um, and this is how Mario Kart kind of changed the game in terms of racing games. And of course, they've added the extra layer of depth to the racing. Instead of just, okay, go fast, turn corners tightly, you can now manipulate the field to your advantage, which is pretty darn cool. Um, However, in these modes, there's a fair amount of what's called as rubber banding. So if you imagine putting a rubber band over around all the racers, the people in front in first will get pushed backwards, and the people in 12th will get pushed forwards. Um, one of the ways it does it very subtly is just makes the people in back go faster the farther back they are from first place. Um, a more obvious thing is that the item distribution that you can get is different depending on how far you are from first. And unfortunately, what that can mean is if you're someone that is pretty good and is in first all the time, all you get is bananas and green shells and maybe a mushroom here and there. So it gets pretty boring to be in first. Um, and another thing that can happen is kind of I've observed a convection current effect where you get good items in the back, which pushes you forward, but then you no longer have good items anymore, so you fall backwards and then just back and forth. And so it just kind of depends on who happens to be in first when the race ends, not necessarily who's the best at racing, which kind of stinks. Also, there's the oft hated upon blue shell. You can only get it when you're far away from first and you throw it, and it targets first place and blows them up. So, like, it's imagine, okay, you're in eighth and you get an item that stops time, picks up the first place person, and puts them in second place. Okay, cool. You're still in eighth place. Technically, anything you can do to slow down the people ahead of you is good. But like I said, you're still in eighth place. Why do you care? So all it does is make the person in first place unhappy and you mildly happy. Anyway, with those, that's my thoughts on those three modes in general. Good driving, items. I like them overall, but yeah, they could do a bit more to make it more competitive and less luck based, if you will. Um, so moving on to battle mode. This was, I believe, completely absent in the Wii U version, and so it is a welcome return. It was available in past entries in the franchise, and you put in battle mode instead of on a track, you're on in a battle arena. There's no start, no finish. Most of the battle modes you can either do team battles or free for alls, and there are 8 different arena maps that you can play on. Each mode gives you a different goal. Of course, there's no finish line, so it's not about going quickly. It's about accomplishing whatever goal that the mode sets out for you. First off, there's the classic balloon battle. There you have balloons on the back of your cart. Now it used to be elimination mode in past games. You lose all your balloons, you're out. And then the last team or person with balloons left is the winner. This game, you get a point for popping someone else's balloon, and you lose half your points when you lose all your balloons. So it's nicer that everybody gets to play until the end of the time, but it can be frustrating sometimes when you rack up a bunch of points and then all of a sudden you lose your last balloon in the last second, so you lose 8 points. Whereas if you had just lost your balloons halfway through, you would have only lost 3. So that one's a little frustrating, but I do like that people aren't knocked out and just kind of sitting around waiting for other people to play. Second, we have Renegade Roundup. This is my favorite. This is a teams only game. It's kind of like Cops and Robbers, where the cops have piranha plants on their cars, and when the piranha plant chomps on a robber, it puts the robber in one of the floating cages above the map. And when a robber who is not caught drives under that cage, it releases them. So the cops win if all the robbers are caught at any given time, because obviously if they're all caught, they can't free anybody else. And the robbers win if they can last a time limit. And it switches, and then you get a point for winning. In my experience, it's uh pretty balanced. So that was pretty cool. Uh, Bob-omb Blast is basically balloon battle, but you only have bob-ombs to throw. Coin runners, very simple. The most coins at the end wins. You lose coins when you're hit. You get coins when you pick up coins. Shine Thief is a keep away game where you grab the shine sprite, and while you're holding on to it, you go a bit slower, but the timer starts ticking down. And if you can get your timer all the way to 0, you win. Overall, battle mode was sorely missed on the Wii U version. I am very glad that they brought it back to this, the deluxe version on the Switch. Battle mode, truth be told, is not my favorite. I kind of think the main attraction is racing, and then battle mode is like a nice diversion sometimes. When you're playing with your buddies and you don't want to switch games, but you don't want to race anymore. Controls are pretty much the same as other modes, so of course the controls are good. Um, However, it is a bit frustrating. Like you're going around this arena, a lot of the times you see someone and they just drive by, and you're going this way and they're going this way, and you just watch them drive by, and then you can't like follow them. A lot of times it's frustrating where you just see someone and you're like, "Oh, get them," but then they drive away, and you're like, "Okay, well, I'm operating a cart, so I can't really turn." However, they did introduce a 180-degree turn where you can quickly just turn in place, and that is pretty cool. Um, Lastly, talk about the gimmick, the zero gravity. How cool is the gravity defying action? Um, it's fine. It's fine. It's not groundbreaking. It is kind of just a gimmick. It's not that noticeable because as you turn upside down, the camera still follows you. So the camera relative to you is always the same, whether you're up, down, around, sideways, whatever. Which, I mean, if Nintendo had been able to pull off where the camera doesn't follow you, but you don't get motion sickness and you can still, you know, control easily, that would have been super cool. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, you kind of need the camera to follow you and be the same relative to you so you know how to control your cart. It would have been extremely frustrating if you're like looking at the ceiling and now all your controls are inverted because the camera is upside down. You know, that wouldn't have been cool. However, despite the fact that, it's not really noticeable that you're upside down, it is kind of cool to be like on the new Mario circuit that they released, and you're driving along, and then you look over at Peach's castle, and it's upside down. That is admittedly pretty darn cool. Other than that, I mean, they needed to throw a gimmick into Mario Kart 8 so they could call it Mario Kart 8 and not Mario Kart 7 Deluxe. So they threw it anti-gravity. Physics aren't really different on anti-gravity. However, if you bump into someone else, you do get a speed boost, but only in anti-gravity. So on to the story. Like I said before, there's no story. There's not even like a Mario Party style of story where they're like, "Oh, Mario and his friends wanted to know who's the superstar." Like, no, that's not even like there's no objective. Literally, the credits roll just when you beat Special Cup on 150cc difficulty. It's just go and race, which I am absolutely fine with. You know, I don't need Nintendo to come up with some bogus reason as to why all of these characters are driving in a cart. I just want to play with my characters on my cool tracks and race. I don't need excuses why Metal Mario and Dry Bowser happen to be racing alongside Mario and regular Bowser. I don't really care. So instead of the story, I'll talk content. There are 42 characters in this release. Plus, you can get different color variations on Yoshi and Shy Guy, with guest appearances from Link from the Legend of Zelda series, Villager and Isabelle from the Animal Crossing series, and new to the deluxe version, Inklings from Splatoon. I like that Nintendo kind of just says, like, hey, we have the rights to these characters. Like, why not? Why not throw Link in there? That's cool. Now people can say like, "Ooh, I like Animal Crossing. I've never played Mario Kart before, but I can play as Isabelle. This is cool." Um, so although the roster's pretty big, they did pick some weird characters to be in there. Like, okay, they give me Pink, Gold, Peach. I don't know why. All 7 Koopalings are fine. Baby Rosalina, I'm pretty sure there's no Baby Rosalina outside of like Mario Kart. But they don't have some of the classic characters like Diddy Kong or Birdo. Like they're not missing any major people, but they're like, why did you include these people, but then cut these people? Like, wouldn't it have been really easy for you to bring back? Whatever. Not killer, but it is noteworthy. Um, Aside from characters, they also did cool touches about the characters where amiibo figures. You can unlock racing suits for different characters. The suits being from all sorts of different franchises: Metroid, F-Zero, uh, Legend of Zelda. That's pretty cool. They added the Master Cycle Zero for Breath of the Wild, like retrospectively when the DLC for Breath of the Wild released. That was pretty cool, just for free. They even did with a deal with Mercedes Benz to adapt some of their Mercedes Benz, like one sports car, uh one Formula One racing car, or and one SUV into Mario Karts, which I thought was pretty cool. Oh, and they also they made the cardboard Nintendo Labo motorbike. You can play with that. So just stupid little touches that they did for free after release that I love. Um, there are 12 cups, each with 4 tracks, so 48 tracks to race on. It includes all the DLC from the Wii U title for packaged in with the original game, and it has both tracks original to the game and remaster ones from earlier games in the franchise. And the earlier ones are each labeled with the systems that they originated in, because the 7 previous installments of the franchise came out for 7 different game systems. You got a track from Animal Crossing, from The Legend of Zelda, a couple from F-Zero, and of the 8 battle arenas, one is pulled directly from Splatoon and was adapted from that stage pretty darn faithfully. Um, they did a really good job of remastering new content, or remastering old content into the new game, making it fit and not look like it was just like yanked out of an old game and shoved unceremoniously into Mario Kart 8. And they also did a good job making new content and new tracks original to the game and putting those in. Um, I I love how Nintendo knows that they have a huge backlog of games in the series, in the Mario Kart series and outside of the Mario Kart series. Um, and they know how to integrate those fan favorite characters into their games, uh, without making them feel stale or shoehorned in, or like, okay, why is this person here? You just copied and pasted them in there. Uh, it's a really nice touch, and I love it when they refer to the other games, and I wish they would do it more honestly. Um, Also a little kind of unrelated to characters and stuff, they also added smart steering, auto acceleration, and tilt controls, which is a nice little touch. You can turn on the ability to be redirected back onto the track before you fall off, the ability to accelerate without holding the A button down, and the ability to steer either with tilting your controller or the joystick. So that was pretty cool. That helps like newbies who don't know what the heck they're doing play the game, because if you turn all of those on, literally they can steer like this and never fall off, and they don't even have to push A to accelerate. Um, so that's it for the story. Graphics wise, I don't have a lot to say about graphics. I mean, it's what you expect. They're beautiful, beautiful graphics. I love the way this game looks. Um, and that's just kind of the basic of what I have to say. There are little touches. It's the little touches that I love, like when you're in a rainy track and your cart is wet, it becomes reflective. So that's really cool. When you're driving in the desert or on dirt, you get like um, dirt and sand stuck to your wheels. When you're when you're on zero gravity, your tires glow. They shift and they start glowing. And like for example, on one of the Mercedes Benz ones, the inside of the car starts glowing out. There's like exhaust vents in the side, and you can see those glowing. Little things like that, where you can tell they really cared about the small stuff, in order to give you like the best experience possible. And I have a similar take to the music. I don't have a whole lot to say. Um, there aren't tracks that I'm like, oh my god, that's a banger. I want to listen to that all day long. But the soundtrack does its job of providing upbeat racing music perfectly. The things that stood out to me were, in some tracks, the song seamlessly changes styles. I think it's Top Cruise, where you're like racing on this pirate ship type thing, and then you get launched into a thunderhead, and then like the song doesn't change. It doesn't stop and then add a new song, but all of a sudden it like introduces, I believe, electric guitar into the song, which is pretty cool. Um, and then like there are other tracks where you might hear like when you get near the shy guys that are working in the mines, you can hear them going like wow, 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 but only when you're near them. So it's pretty cool that you're racing through these different areas and you feel like the music helps you feel like you're in those areas. Of course, on the final lap, as soon as the first person crosses the finish line to initiate the final lap, the tune stops. It plays a little final lap fanfare, and then everything speeds up. So that's pretty cool as well. Uh, really forms tension because oh my god, final lap, what's going to happen? Race is going to end soon. Who's going to win? Um, so yeah, that does it for the music. Overall, Nintendo has assembled the greatest Mario Kart to date. They've had 7.5 games, to before to perfect the formula. So I can't really say I'm surprised, but I love what they've done to include like game tracks from past games and characters from other series into this game. It's kind of like you could call it best of Mario Kart. Like Mario Kart Deluxe, Mario Kart Definitive Edition. You don't even really have to put the 8 on there. You could just say Mario Kart Deluxe because it's the deluxe definitive edition of this entire franchise. Um, yeah, so overall, I give this a 9. It's amazing. I was struggling between whether to give it a high 8 or a low 9. My biggest thing is although this is like a perfect Mario Kart, it's just a Mario Kart. Like all you do is you race or you battle, which is fine because that's really fun and Mario Kart is like one of the best selling games on the Switch. So obviously they're doing something right. But I think if Mario Kart really wanted to transcend its own boundaries and blow itself out of the water and really outdo itself, it would have to do something like a story mode. I have no idea how they'd pull it off, and that's kind of the point. If they manage to pull it off, I'd give it a 10 out of 10 piece of cake. But because it's just, they don't, and it's just racing, I'm happy giving it a 9. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you all have anything else you'd like to add, or if you disagree with anything, feel free to let me know down in the comments below. And have a wonderful day. Goodbye.